Enemy spotted!
Hey all, welcome back to Talking Siege, episode number 70 here. Today we are going to be talking about all kinds of things. We have a very special guest joining us as well, that's Stigs over in the corner. We'll touch on that in a minute, but first we're going to just remind you guys that you might have seen in the intro we had that little advert for the La Casa de Papel, which is the in-game event. You can play in Rainbow at the moment. Go to the main menu, and it's down the bottom. It's a crossover with the Netflix series of the same name. In the English Netflix, it's called Money Heist. I know Raven in particular has been telling me how much he loves that show, so if you're interested in that, you can check it out from the main menu. But anyhow, let's just get on to talking about Stigs, everything we've got today. So, Stigs has just been playing through the Challenge League and been promoted into the Pro League finally, but we're going to touch on that in a minute. Sky, I think, has a few things to talk about and take us through. So we'll talk first about kind of Challenge League and all that kind of stuff, and then later on we'll go through a lot of the roster changes that have been happening, especially overseas. So Sky, why don't you kick us off?
Yeah, absolutely. So first of all, massive thanks to you, Stigs, for coming on. I guess to start with, could you sort of give a brief explanation for people who might know what you do / who you are, sort of within the Rainbow Six?
Yeah, I've been a part of the PC community for about, I don't know, a year and a half now, and I've been streaming pretty much that whole time. I came to PC with the, plan to try and get to Pro League, and that's finally happened. I'm also a content creator. I do YouTube and I stream every day, or try to every day. It's getting tough now because our workload's upped a lot since we, got into Challenge League and that. But yeah, that's pretty much me.
Nice. So I guess we'll sort of start at the beginning. What sort of initially drove you to sort of be attracted to Siege, sort of as an
It was just mainly for me personally coming over from COD and then getting into Siege. It's such an it's like an advanced COD. Like, it's so intricate and so detailed, and you can never stop learning. That's why I really love the game. So getting into the esports side of it, because I've always been a competitive person, that's what kind of drew me to it. Just how detailed it is, and how hard it is.
Did you find it was sort of difficult to integrate at the start, like with some of the mechanics? Like, what was sort of like the hardest thing that you found sort of coming into Siege, or did it sort of come natural?
The hardest thing coming into Siege would probably be, like, you can never stop like working, or else you just fall behind. So like the work ethic is really tough, but I enjoy it a lot and I love it. That's why I do it. So yeah, definitely like the workload.
I'm actually keen to pick your brains a little bit, Stigs, on kind of your journey so far, because obviously we're talking all about how you came through the Challenge League. I've just put your little about thing under your name as Pro League player, which is pretty cool, because obviously you've never played a Pro League match before, but I guess technically now, being promoted into Pro League, you are a Pro League player. But it didn't just kind of happen overnight, so why don't you take us through kind of the long-term history of yourself? You mentioned kind of how you came from COD, but have you been a competitive player for a very long time? I believe you used to play on console as well, so tell us a bit more about that.
Well, coming from PS4 to console, my number one plan was to like be a Pro League player, and everyone that's known me knows that's been my plan all along. We had to wait, because we picked up Haywood pretty much, right after joining PC, and him and I were both 17 at the time, so we couldn't play that current Challenge League that was being played. So for him and I, we had to wait a while to be able to play Challenge League, so we were just playing ranked. A lot of people would know us as ranked stars back in the day, but I think we've kind of, got rid of that. Got rid of that. What's the word I'm looking for? Like name badge, essentially. But yeah, we went from ranked to Challenge League. Our first season of Challenge League, we just fell short, as many people know, to a head-to-head, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, then later on that year, we went to our first ever LAN event as a team. We were known as Acme at the time, MEO, which was amazing. It was one of the best experiences I've ever had, especially, trying to get into Pro League. We were there with all Pro League teams. We were one of 2 non-Pro League teams at the time. And yeah, going into this Challenge League season, we didn't want to make the same mistake of essentially choking. And like a lot of people in the community know that, we've been working towards it for a long time, and it's finally happened. We're in Pro League.
I guess a question I have is sort of after, you mentioned that first CLD, and you lost in head-to-head. How does your team sort of bounce back after that? I know a lot of teams that after that would just burn up, we're done, that's it, and then proceed to disband. But how do you sort of mentally come back from that and then to improve and will now qualify for Pro?
Yeah, well, going into that Challenge League season, we only had about, I think, 2 to 3 months with Strider and Dino at the time. So we knew how good we were, but we weren't expecting too much. So going to that season, especially after we lost, it was tough because like we all thought we had won and like qualified, and then finding out we didn't. It was heartbreaking, especially, because we did think we made it, but bouncing back from it, it wasn't very hard. Like we didn't want to be like every other, well, not every other, that sounds wrong, but like most ANZ CL teams that, just do it for fun, and like it's like, oh, we disband, that's it. We're really serious about what we do. And yeah, we just wanted to keep grinding. We knew if we stayed together, we would, become stronger and better, and we did.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
I'm kind of interested to hear the contrast between, yourself, you are now, competitive player, have been for quite some time. You've now made it into the Pro League. But on top of that, I think what a lot of people know you for as different to, like, we have other teams that have qualified for Pro League. Rhythm came through the Challenger League and qualified for Pro League this season, but I think something that people are drawn to you for is because of your content creation. Not only are you a streamer, but also you have a YouTube channel. I was just checking that out today. You actually have quite a few videos on there as well. So can you tell me a little bit, you've told us about kind of your esports story. Can you tell me about the story so far in terms of content creation? How did you get across that barrier? Because I know it can be very difficult to get into, and how have you kind of been tracking your success with that?
Well, to start with, as I referenced earlier, I pretty much just played ranked every day, all day, because I was under 18. So we scrimmed and stuff, but I had a lot more time back then. And I was, at the start, when I didn't have a full team, it was just, me, Haywood, and a couple of other guys playing ranked every day. I was streaming like 12 hours a day, just every day, just grinding to try and, it wasn't, I never got into it thinking like, oh, this could be a potential job or something like that in the future. It was just for fun. And then it kind of did turn into that. And I am privileged enough to be able to do that as my main source of income at the moment. But yeah, it's really tough because like being a streamer, it's very difficult to get, 75 people to sit there and watch you for hours on end, which is what you have to do to get partner. And I'm not there quite yet, but yeah, it's tough to be able to stream every day, and try and stay consistent on days, especially when you don't really want to, or you're not feeling it. But yeah, especially now, it's really tough to find the time to stream as many hours as I used to. It's nearly impossible because we practice 8 hours a day plus, dependent on what we're preparing for. And yeah, it's super difficult now, but I still love it, and try and do it every day.
Is there anything that sort of, when you came into that content creation path, is there anything that really surprised you that you didn't expect would be as difficult as what it ended up?
Yeah, definitely. Mainly like being able to keep a consistent viewer base. I thought it was like going to be a lot tougher than it is. Like I think about like 5,000 followers now, and I never thought I'd get to that, but that's just underselling myself in a sense, because like, yeah, I do put in the hours. I try my best, and yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, I think content creation is something that can be it's really difficult to measure your success relative to the work you put in. You know, you could put in so much
Yep.
work to stream so many different hours, and you don't necessarily see that as direct increase in stats, for example. And
Yeah,
it's the stats that, as you mentioned, the 75 concurrent viewers that you need in order to get that partner. It can be quite a challenge.
Definitely.
I think most people know you for streaming, but can you touch on YouTube briefly? Because I mean, they're very different kind of content creation platforms. I've learned that personally. It's so different. Getting up the guts to stream is so different to spending time editing out a YouTube video. Kind of tell me about like the difference. You know, where do you spend most of your time and effort, and kind of what are the differences between the two?
Yeah, most of my time does go into streaming, but YouTube's just kind of a thing I do on the side for, you know, my highlights, you know, clips and stuff like that. YouTube, yeah, it's completely different. YouTube is more, I don't know, I feel like with YouTube you have to kind of get a lucky break, especially with Siege. Like you have to, you know, your name has to spread like wildfire in a sense to be able to, you know, grow as big as, you know, names like Godly, Bolo, Spoit, all those type of people. I haven't quite hit that yet. I kind of just upload for, you know, the enjoyment of others that would get out of my videos. You know, I post a lot of stuff with like Magnet and stuff, and Magnet's known as a goof, so it's always just fun, like laughs and that in my videos mainly, with also, you know, some good clips here and there.
Is there any sort of oh yeah, you go.
No, please.
Is there any sort of advice that you would give to people that maybe want to pursue, especially maybe more specifically YouTube? Because obviously I know there are a lot of people that want to be content creators, and obviously it proves to be a lot more difficult than maybe it seems. Is there any sort of advice that you would give to maybe people that aspire to create content in that field from your?
Yeah, I feel like with especially YouTube, consistency is like key. Trying to maintain daily uploads is probably the best thing you could possibly do. Um, that'd be probably my best tip. As well as trying to, you know, not keep stuff too serious. As I said, like try and involve some funny stuff with serious stuff. And yeah, that'd be probably my main tip.
One thing that I was hoping to kind of break down, or having you break down, is one of your plays from the Challenger League this season. So, we in our little graphic for this episode, we had this 1 versus 4 that you pulled off against, I believe it was RMA during Playday 6 of the Challenger League. And I think that what we'll do is we'll actually just play that clip for people, and then we'll get you to talk kind of a little bit about your thought process going through that.
4. Health deficits are everywhere, and it's all up to Stigs now. Finds the first pick onto Bundy. Will he find any more? 1 versus 3, 23 seconds. He finds the second onto Pun. Can he find the more? He's going crazy. Stigs takes out Lucifer. 1 versus Sagon. Can he find him? The diffuser is on the other side. Sagon slowly making his way up the stairs.
Yeah,
Rotate.
Sorry, go ahead. Go ahead.
I don't think he's going to find him. I don't think he has time to get the diffuser down. Is he going to get the cheeky plant? 0 seconds remaining. Oh, just gets it down. And I think he's going to get it safely as well.
Now, post-point scenario for Stigs. Needs to try and hold this diffuser as Sagion trying to make his way through the rotate. Stigs probably with the advantage, and he'll get that kill. A fantastic clutch up there from Stigs will help secure HomeLess's 3rd round. A round that looked very dire at the beginning, but he brings it back, and wow, that's a way to do it in style.
So, when I've talked to a lot of competitive players in the past, the one thing they always say is they can remember every single detail of every single match. Now, good.
I can remember everything from that.
Tell me, start to finish, absolutely everything, every single kill, every single thought process, whether you thought you were going to win it from the start, whether you thought you were just going to give it a shot. When you had to hold down that plant for 7 seconds after the timer hit 0, run me through it all.
So to start with, I was on meeting balcony for a while there, and my teammates were pressuring meeting, the mute player in meeting that I ended up killing Bundy. So I was on meeting balc for a while, and I was on the edge of jumping in and trying to kill that mute so it'd open it up for us. But as you saw, I left it a bit long. And if you've heard me, the comms of that clip, I actually say I'm going to make a play as soon as it becomes a 1v4. But I did leave it a little bit too long. And the second I vaulted in, when I was on the balcony earlier, I got into an engagement with that Doc on yellow. So I knew he was either on yellow or in private, which he ended up being in private later on in the round. When I vaulted in and killed the mute, I heard the smoke in con pull out a smoke babe and start to throw it. And I knew that opened it up for me straight away. So I sprinted in and took that gunfight. And as you see, after I get that kill, I look straight towards yellow for the Doc. And then as soon as I didn't see the Doc on yellow, I heard him shuffle in private. So that's why you see me pre-fire private like I did. As soon as I got that kill, I believe the call came out that he was Spiral. And I was pushing up long desk and I heard him shuffle like around office or paper. So then I pushed up and I tried to take the gunfight. Looking at the time, I didn't think I had enough time to get the bomb down. So I tried to look for the gunfight. And then I heard him sprint into admin. So then I kind of had to, either go for the plant or go for the kill. And I knew I couldn't get the kill. So I tried to go for the plant. And as soon as I started to plant, I knew I'd won it because I heard him drop Teller's hatch, and my teammate Arlo actually called that out. And the whole time I was holding the plant, I could hear him coming where he was coming the whole time. And as soon as I got the plant down, I knew I'd won. I pretty much knew I won when I killed that smoke.
Wow. So it wasn't even like the second last kill. It was the second kill. You were still in a 1v2 and you knew that you would be able to win that.
Yeah, I was really feeling it.
Wow.
It's hard to explain.
So I guess that kind of just happens sometimes where you really have that early confidence. And I want to break down kind of some of the more nitty-gritty parts of this. You mentioned how I feel like every single time you were mentioning one of your thought processes there, it was about audio information. So how much is your information gathering in this kind of a scenario relying on just yourself or your teammates to make call-outs? Like, did you have call-outs on any of these other players from your teammates?
I had no call-outs on any player except for the meeting one originally, which was the mute, which I already knew about, and the last guy. Arlo was giving me call-outs of like keeping tabs of where he was going. So when he dropped Tellers, Arlo gave the call-out he was Tellers, and that was about it. Oh, and earlier on he said that he was Spiral when after I killed the mute. But those were the only two. In that kind of scenario, it's pretty much just reliant on the other team messing up and giving me 1v1s and kind of just, personal skill and being able to do it, I guess. I don't know.
I feel like commenting on personal skill, a lot of people, they have confidence in 1 versus 1 gunfights because they're playing with a weapon like the R4C, the F2, SMG11, these really, really powerful weapons. Now, you're playing here with the AK-74M, which... it's not the worst gun in the world, but I think it's a far cry from the best weapon as well. It has a really low fire rate. It has very janky recoil, and it's quite difficult to use. You do have that for the 40-round magazine, but you're playing Nomad, right? You have the other choice of bringing the ARX, which has a higher fire rate, more damage, better recoil, but half the magazine size. What's the thought process there, like with that selection between the two weapons, and also with like your choice of attachments? So in this case, you brought the hollow sight instead of an ACOG.
Yeah, on that gun, mainly on both of Nomad's guns, the way I personally play Nomad, it's more of an in-your-face type of Nomad, so I don't really run the ACOG, especially being on 4x3. It's a funny story, actually. That day, like before the match, I changed to muzzle brake for some reason. I don't know why. And yeah, I pulled off that with a muzzle brake. It's not just due to the muzzle brake, but yeah, I won't be taking the muzzle brake off of it.
Is it like you just feel that one time it worked? We don't have like an objective flash hider compensated muzzle brake. None's the best. Is it kind of just whatever you're feeling?
Yeah, exactly.
And the last thing I want to mention on your loadout is you have the Fnatic charm on there the whole time. Do you run that on all your guns?
Yeah, I do. At the moment, I do.
All right, well...
Got to support the Fnatic guys.
Yeah, great. Well, they are currently the only ANZ team in the pilot program, so hopefully whatever team you'll be playing for will have a charm that you can purchase in-game as well.
I
But
hope one day.
yeah, hopefully that kind of breaks down that one clip for me. So I'm actually all set. I think that was a really good way to get through the thought process. I'm just going to take this opportunity as well to say anyone who's watching at the moment in the Twitch stream or in the YouTube stream, feel free to drop down a question. If you have a question for Stigs, if you have a question for myself or Sky, or just something you wanted to talk about, feel free to chuck that in there, and we'll get to it as well. Sky, did you have some other points you wanted to touch on as well?
Yeah, I guess I'll jump to something pretty recent. You guys recently acquired a coach in Picnic. I sort of want to get that again. Obviously, I guess I want you to sort of break it down in layman's. So like, what sort of Picnic do for you guys? Sort of how does having a coach help? And especially, I believe you guys acquired Picnic after Playday 1 of CL. Would I be correct in saying that?
Yes. Yeah.
And obviously that was a pretty, I guess, scary Challenge League day for you guys as you lost to Rhythm and also drew on one map. So how did that sort of coach addition help afterwards? And sort of just run through that.
Yeah. Getting Picnic was one of the best things for our team. Honestly, he's the amount of work he puts in. It's just crazy. Like the first time we spoke to him, Kata and I spoke to him. Him giving examples of the work he does, and it was like I was astounded because like the work he does, it goes under like underlooked. Like it's a lot of behind the scenes work, and he never really gets praised for it. But me personally as well, he's helped me out on a personal level in terms of my IGLing and our strategies and stuff like that. Like he's really helped the team a lot, and getting him after Playday number 1, it really helped us, highlight what we did wrong, and we improved from it, and we didn't, lose again another Playday. Only drew once.
I wanted to follow on from that topic about Picnic, because Picnic, he obviously has been in the Rainbow Six scene for a while. It's a name that people will be familiar with in the comp scene, but not someone who's necessarily had a lot of stints in Pro League in the past. Yep. And that's the same for yourself. You do have Dino and Stigs who've played in Pro League seasons past, but and I guess Arlo to some extent playing with Extricity, not Pro League, but another quite a good team. What's it like kind of bringing on, what do you think in terms of newer talent, younger talent, as you are one yourself, kind of bringing into the Pro League scene? Is there a lot of hurdles? Do they bring a lot of spice? What's the positives and the negatives of that? And you can use, for example, your own teammates, including obviously your Picnic, who's just joined on.
Yeah, I think getting Arlo was again one of the best things for our team. Like he wasn't the player we were looking for at the time. We were looking for someone to fill our previous teammate's spot, which was Jaeger, Thatcher. That was his main operators at the time. So we were kind of looking for that, and we were in talks with other players from Extricity at the time, and they ended up pulling out, and they referenced Arlo, and we gave him a shot, and he was exactly what we needed. We didn't know we needed, the smoke player, the hard support in a sense. He brung a completely different dynamic to the team in terms of plant denial and time denial, which a lot of teams weren't used to with us. A lot like our stigma around us was, we just run around and shoot people. So yeah, he brought a completely new dynamic, and with Dino and Strider as well, their Pro League experience bring a lot. Strider's a really level-headed guy, and he any situation, if anybody's got a difference of opinion, he'll level everybody out and calm everybody down, which never really happens. Everybody's really chill in the team and agrees with one another.
And continuing on with your roster, you kind of went through almost everyone there.
Yep.
How does the team dynamic work in terms of roles? You mentioned a little bit, but you also mentioned the fact that you're an IGL, and Strider's that guy who kind of keeps everyone's head level if needed.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
Is IGL something that is new to you, or is this something you've done for a long time? And you mentioned constantly that you can be quite an aggressive player. How do those two kind of go hand in hand?
Yeah, IGLing is completely new to me. Like I was never in past games. I didn't even know what it was. But when I came over to Siege, and at the time we made a team with Cynics and Soch, it was it was completely new. There was no one in the team that was an IGL, and we clearly needed it because we were lacking in a direction and teamwork and stuff like that. So when I picked it up, it was completely new, and I haven't felt comfortable doing it until Picnic joined and helped me with, you know, how to, like, giving me direction on how to do it and what's the right way to do it and stuff like that. And also watching Pengu has helped me out a lot, because he's, you know, really in mid game, he's always, you know, micromanaging people and setting up for plants, which I never really got the chance to do because we're an aggressive team and we always fragged out essentially. So we never had to set up for that type of stuff. But yeah, the introduction of Picnic has really, you know, helped us start to implement that type of stuff and allowed me to start doing that and like being able to set up for plants and, you know, micromanage every teammate, which is, it's so hard. Like any IGL out there would know, like it's so difficult to think of 4 other players, you know, positions, what utility they have, setting up for a plant. It's so hard, but lately I've definitely been feeling better at it.
That's great. Well, I mean, you're going to have to be, because you've been going through the Challenge League and you've done really, really well, but the next step is going to be a big one, going into the Pro League. You've already proved you can go toe-to-toe with a lot of Pro League teams. You took Mind Freak to 3 maps and almost beat them at the Melbourne Esports Open for 6 Masters. How do you feel going into Pro League Season 11, knowing that the competition you've been playing so far has been good competition, you've been beating them, but that you're kind of heading to the next echelon?
Yep. I think that, like, I have faith in every single one of my teammates and my team. Like, I know that we can, you know, individually we can be the best in the, you know, in A and Z, but like, you know, putting that to like into fruition in a sense, like, and actually proving everybody that we can be, you know, one of the best teams. It's going to take a while, and I think we can do it. But yeah, I think it's just all about experience, and the Pro League will really help us, you know, get more of that, and versing like higher tier teams on a regular basis will really help us. But yeah, it's going to be tough, but I feel like we will do very well.
Great.
Yeah. I guess on that note, what sort of, Dev just brought up, you know, Pro League Season 11, and you mentioned that, you know, you feel you can be the best. I guess what are your goals for Season 11? You know, realistically, what are you looking to do here? You mentioned it might take a while. By a while, you mean like this season, or you're looking for like sort of improve over a few seasons?
Yep.
And on that, what sort of your goals regarding org support as well?
In terms of our progression and what I think that'll look like, I think that this season of Pro League will kind of be the dark horse of Pro League. Like, a lot of Pro League teams do know our team. Like, we, you know, socialize with a lot of the Pro League players and stuff like that. But we're going to bring a new dynamic to Pro League, of course, being a completely new team. So I think it'll either go one way or the other. And the way I want it to go is the way I think it will go. That might have been confusing. I'm sorry if it was. But yeah, I think that we'll do well. And I think our main goals are to just keep improving, keep putting in the work. Because, you know, hard work does pay off, which is proven. But yeah, I just think trying to grow as a team and improve as a team is our main goal. And it's not just winning. That's not, you know, our main goal.
I think having modest goals like that is a really good way to improve, because we do have obviously those Cinderella stories of Na'Vi goes from top Challenger League to winning the entire Global Pro League, but not everyone can do that.
Same with Empire. Yeah.
Empire, the same. You guys got a bit unfortunate in your first season of Challenge League. You really thought you were going to make it, and you didn't, but you didn't let that get the better of you. You kept your same goals, and you moved into Pro League. And look, I'm sure it would be fantastic to see you guys make APAC finals next season, but if that doesn't happen, I have no doubts that you won't be dejected and that you'll keep grinding to get to the top.
Yep.
So that question that Sky just mentioned was from Guz in chat. If you guys do have any questions, feel free to chuck them in chat. Questions for Stigs, questions for myself or Sky, and we'll get to them throughout the episode. I've got another question, Stigs, which is from Daddy Boff in the chat. He says, Stigs, what are some training tips? Any chance of being able to hear your guys' comms for improvement?
Yeah, there's a clip I posted on my Twitter of our comms during that clutch. There's also, if you head over to our team Twitter, which is HomeLess R6S on Twitter, we've posted a few clips of when we win, like what our reactions are, comms, 20 seconds into the round or last 20 seconds of the round. So if you want to hear some of our comms, you can head over to our Twitter. In terms of improvement, especially with Siege, it doesn't come quick. Like playing a lot of Terrorist Hunt, watching a lot of Pro League, trying to identify your, main issues, like do you lack in aim? Do you lacking game sense? Trying to identify your own issues and try and improve upon them in the best way. I get that question a lot on my stream, so I answer it a lot. But yeah, there's no special, trick that you can do that's gonna improve you overnight. It's like it takes a long time. It takes, 6 hours a day of grinding, of playing the game, just experiencing, different deaths, different, getting different kills. It's really intricate, and that's why it's different to other games. So yeah, that would be my tip on improvement or tips.
Yeah,
Great.
nice. We have another question here from Cabell, and he says, what does Stigs do to get his head in the game?
Yeah, I think that's that's something I've personally struggled with, is being able to stay consistent and improve every week. What I do to get my head in the game, as a lot of people would know by watching my stream, I sit there and play Terrorist Hunt for hours. Like I'll before a game, I'll probably play Terrorist Hunt for 2 hours and just sit there and listen to music. Those are the main things I do, and just sitting in Discord and talking with my team. That really gets me in the game. And going into Challenger League, I wasn't as confident in myself, but after the Challenger League, every play day, I felt like I did my role. I felt like my IGLing was good, helping my teammates in that sense. So that really did help my confidence a lot. And yeah, getting that 1v4 helped.
We're actually getting so many questions, so if you guys do have questions, feel free to chuck them in the chat, and hopefully we'll get finish this before it becomes tomorrow. So I got another one for you, Stigs, which is related to your transition from console to PC from PS4. So Perry says, was it hard going from console to PC? How long did you play the game before you came to PC?
I was on console from Blood Orchid to White Noise. Don't quote me on this because I'm terrible with seasons, but I think I was on console for about 2 seasons, so it wasn't too long before I came to PC. Sorry. And learning mouse and keyboard was so hard. Like I had never played PC games in my life. I was completely new to it, so there was a lot of learning curves and stuff like that. But yeah, if you put in the hours, you'll definitely improve. Like mouse and keyboard was so difficult for me. If you've watched me the first time I tried to use it, I was just I looked like a silver or a copper. I was hopeless. But yeah, with a lot of hours, I became better and better.
Nice. I actually have another question from Cabell, and he says, how does the team deal with losing a match, and how do you get your morale back?
Yeah, dealing with a loss is really difficult. I think that, losing it's the best way to learn. So instead of looking as a negative, look at it as a positive and try and identify why you lost, instead of just, saying, oh, we lost, we're not the better team or something like that. But yeah, after that loss against Rhythm especially, we sat in Discord for 2 hours with with Picnic, and we were going over why we lost, and we identified pretty early why we did lose. We got in our own heads. We weren't playing our own game. We weren't doing our bans we would usually do. We were reading too far into the opposition and not looking at ourselves, which was the biggest thing that we could have done wrong. So instead of just getting down and out about a loss, like sure you can be not happy if you've lost, but try and improve upon it and try and identify why you've lost, not just all leave Discord after you lose and be annoyed at each other because you've lost. Sit there as a team and analyze why you've lost.
Yeah, and I mean, a lot of these tips also work for playing at any level, like ranked. It's the same thing.
Definitely.
If you're losing, just kind of sit through it. You don't have to just rage quit Discord or however you're doing it. We have another one from Guz, and it's about the future of HomeLess moving just into the rest of the year. Obviously, Pro League is a ways off. Six Masters coming next year, so you already have a lot of things on your plate, but more sooner than that. Next weekend we have the Six Invitational Open Qualifier, and the following weekend it'll be the closed qualifier. Is the Six Invitational Qualifier something that HomeLess have their eyes on, and what are your expectations going into that?
Yeah, definitely. The 6 invite quals, we're going to definitely be doing them. Any type of experience in terms of comp play and team play is important. We want to, try and get as much of that as possible and play as many comp games as we can. So we'll definitely be participating in the quals. Expectation-wise, we aren't sure if we'll be able to play with our full core on the first day. So we aren't expecting too much. We're just trying to, get more experience, as I said. And yeah, that's about it, really.
Nice.
Yeah, that's. I think there's a lot coming up for HomeLess, and so people just gonna have to wait and see, and hopefully a lot of it will be broadcast. We're going to move in and talk about some international roster changes as well. I'm keen to kind of get some of your thoughts on what's been happening overseas across the pond. But first, something else that's been happening internationally that someone brought up. It was a question from X7. Was the India championship that just happened over the weekend. So they were kind of wondering our thoughts on that. So I thought I would phrase the question. How do you think Stig's having, if you watch some of those matches, how do you think that some of these teams, Vector, who are the ones who won it, Quantum, who are the runners-up, how do you think that they're going to kind of potentially rank up against APAC teams and global teams as well?
Yeah, I didn't get to catch too much of it, but I did watch some of it. And I think that, any team, any player with the right support and the right team can go far in the game. You know what I mean? In that's with most things in life. But yeah, I think everybody has the potential to be good, and I think that any team can be good if they put in the work and they put in the time. So definitely, I think they'd match up pretty well with other teams from ANZ and around the world. But definitely around the world, it'd be difficult going up against EU, NA, EU giants. Fucking, sorry. I'm sorry.
It's alright, I'll get my bleep button out, don't worry.
I'm sorry. Yeah. I think it'd be very difficult to compete with EU and, NA. But yeah, I think if they put in the work and keep improving, they can do anything.
Great. Well, I mean, ANZ's come so far in the last 2 years as well. It's we've only had 2 years now of Pro League, and I remember back in the days when we had the Pro League qualifiers, and yeah, things have changed so much since then. We've now had teams like Fnatic and Wildcard do so well overseas. Now let's talk a bit about some of those EU NA teams that you mentioned earlier. There's been a lot of roster shuffling overseas. I feel like this is one of the more turbulent seasons that we've had. Roster shuffles. And just to let you guys know, we're going to be talking mainly about things that have actually been formally announced by players or orgs, not things that you might have seen on ESL roster pages or rumors, because there's a lot of speculation going around as well. So we're going to be just dealing in kind of what's been announced. So firstly, with Dark Zero and Reciprocity, the two North American teams to make it to the Tokoname finals, there was, I think, a lot of people were surprised. I certainly was by seeing these changes. So Nyx from Dark Zero has switched places with Skies from Reciprocity. I'll just run through kind of the rest of these changes as well. So we've had Nyx and Skies switch teams. And we've also had Mark from Reciprocity depart Reciprocity. So that means that Reciprocity is now... Oh, sorry, I got more. There's more. Vertical has also joined Reciprocity as well, which means that their full roster has now become Laxing, Foxy, Retro, Nyx, and Vertical, with Hopes coaching, and their analyst Robin has left. That's only a 3 out of 5 core from last season. I'm just going to finish off NA with North America, and then I'll get you guys to jump in and get your thoughts on that. So we already mentioned that... We got it somewhere. I swear we got it somewhere. Oh well, we've just got Nyx has departed Dark Zero, and Eclipse has joined, formerly from Rogue, who has departed the Pro League as they were relegated, and BC is moving to coach. So now that roster for Dark Zero is going to be Mint, Hot and Cold, Hyper, which are the 3 from previous season, and Skies and Eclipse, and coaches will be Bacon and as well BC. Wow, that's a lot of changes for North America.
Yeah, definitely, especially being the top 2.
Yeah,
it's interesting.
Do you think that, like, I mean, coming off a grand final performance, Dark Zero, is this something you expected them to kind of make changes, guys?
I personally didn't think either teams would make like this drastic of changes because, you know, they're coming top 2. They're obviously doing something right. So I don't know. I mean, roster changes happen for a reason, and you know, no team just changes no player changes teams for no reason or gets dropped. It happens for a reason. So I think it's really interesting. One that stuck out to me the most was Mark. I actually saw him tweet out earlier today that he probably, with everything moving so quickly, he probably won't be playing the next Pro League season, which is a shame because, you know, you can go from being top 2 Pro League to not having a team. That really stuck out to me. So yeah, it's unfortunate.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess it's interesting. I think I completely agree with what Stig said, where, you know, at the end of the day, no one really knows what's sort of going on behind the scenes.
Yep.
And yeah, you really got to stick with these teams, and that, you know, the roster changes are being made for a reason, and you know things aren't happening for no reason. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. Maybe NA is starting to sort of, you know, although they are going to know those top 2 placements, maybe they're like, well, you know, we want to win, you know, a major, an invitational. So maybe they're sort of dissatisfied with that and
definitely
shuffling to try and, I guess, reach the pinnacle of Siege.
What's funny is we were like a couple of rounds away from seeing an all North American grand final at Tokoname, because Reciprocity nearly beat Navi, who were the champions of the whole event. So it's crazy to see some of these teams get so close, and then the immediate reaction is to make drastic changes. I think it's safe to say these are drastic changes. The top 2 teams out of North America only have 3/5 of their previous core. So, I mean, like, going into next season, obviously these teams are hoping for more success. Do you think that they're going to see that?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I mean, bringing in a new player is always kind of, you know, difficult because you haven't personally played with the player before. So it's either a hit or a miss, and I'm sure one of the 2 teams will go very far. And I think it'll be Dark Zero. I really rate all their players, their support, their org, you know, how they're in a team house, how they, you know, do interviews and stuff like that. They make their videos. I think Dark Zero will do really well next season, personally.
They've certainly gained a lot of fans in the 1 year that this org has been around. I remember seeing the queue for signatures after the grand final. These guys lost one of the most heartbreaking defeats they've ever had, and they stood out there for about 3 hours signing signatures for all these Japanese fans. So I have a huge amount of respect for Dark Zero as well. Definitely. Reciprocity too, who I think have had a lot of fans in Japan as well, and I think they're a bit disappointed that they got so close to beating the champions and didn't make it through. So, talking about another team that was at Tokoname, we have the Giants, who it seems like every season they get to a big LAN event and they fall short. They were eliminated by Fours at the Raleigh Major, and then this time by Airwolf at the Tokoname Finals. Alphamar, who was their main support player, he's now been moved to a 6th-player position. What this basically means is that he's no longer an active player on the roster, and Giants haven't announced who will be taking his place on the core roster. Alphamar isn't fully off the team yet. He's still contracted, but he's open to offers from other teams, is what it kind of sounds like based off the statement that was made by Giants. I'll keep running through the rest of the EU changes because this gets pretty spicy and kind of sad. I actually couldn't believe it when I saw this tweet from G2 Esports. CC, planting won't be the same without you. Thank you, Goga, for your hard work. I actually, like, I could not believe this. Did you guys see this coming?
No.
I remember waking up and just checking my Twitter feed and just seeing that, and yeah, it was certainly a
like, for such a long time, Goga has been regarded as one of the best, if not the best, support player in the entire world. and yeah, he's no longer on that team anymore. And replacing him is Krine, who not many people would maybe know. I honestly, I'm not gonna lie, I actually had to remind myself who Krine was. But Krine formerly played in the Pro League and the Challenger League for the team known as Orgless. They're a majority German team. They were previously known before that as Navi for a very short time, and before that, I think they were mostly known as Mocket for the longest amount of time. So that's the team with KS on it, if that helps jog anyone's memories. So it's funny to me to see G2 pluck up a player from the Challenge League rather than like the last roster change they made with picking up Uno, who was from one of the major teams that played on LAN. So is this something that you kind of had expected, and how do you think that G2 is now going to develop kind of with Krine on the roster?
Yeah, I think it's really interesting picking up a Challenge League player, but of course he does have Pro League experience, which is really important. I never saw Gogo getting dropped coming. I would never have picked that ever. So I find it really interesting, and for a Challenge League player, I don't know how it's going to play out. I don't know if roster changes is, for them personally, is the best route, but again, they happen for a reason. So G2 obviously know more than us. So
Yeah.
You go.
I was just going to say, I think this is a really interesting and bold roster move, especially as we're now just a few weeks out from the Ogre Pit finals, where G2 are playing in contention for a spot at the 6th Invitational 2020. And this is going to be sort of their main, I guess, running, because they have not yet qualified for the 6th. Did I say 6 Masters? I meant
No,
six
you said 6 Invitational.
I said 6 Invitational. All right, good. This is sort of their, I guess, their main. They haven't qualified for the 6 Invitational yet. This is the way for them to do it. So to make a roster change just a few weeks out, it's like I said, it's very bold, and it's also a little bit scary at the same time.
Yeah, and like you said, G2, I think it's crazy to think that the champions, the current reigning world champions, the 6 Invitational, 2 years running, G2, have not qualified for the event when it's only 3 months away. And they missed out on qualifying through the Raleigh Major. The team who comes first at the Raleigh Major qualifies for Invitational. They failed to qualify through the Pro League. Now they have to get it either at the OGA Pit, winning first place at the entire minor in Croatia, or they have to go through the online qualifier and come first in Europe. And I mean, G2 are a LAN team. They're not a team that we've seen do particularly well online in these kinds of qualifier environments. So that's definitely a huge risk for them. And honestly, I just got to say one thing. I hope we see G2 at the Invitational. I know it would be a huge upset and a huge storyline if they don't make it, but I just can't imagine a 6 Invitational without G2.
for sure.
Yeah, I've got to agree with you.
You got to have them there to defend their title. Now, guys, we do have a full summary of roster changes courtesy of Siege GG. If you go to their website, I highly recommend it. Siege GG is a fantastic website to keep track of all this kinds of stuff. They have a page for all the North American transfers. They even have a page for APAC transfers. I highly recommend you go over to Siege GG, click on the news tab. You should see this stuff up there. They also do a lot of detailed articles around specific roster movements, like the Knicks one, Knicks swapping out for Skies. So it's definitely worth going over and having a look at that. Now, before we move over into our community content section, I wanted to bring up one more question, which was actually from your teammate, Stigs, Strider. He wanted you to talk a little about what you're excited for with the new ops. So obviously Goyo and Amaru, for those who don't know, they've been in the game for 3 months now, but they haven't been available in Pro League. That lock will likely be lifted very, very shortly, and Kali and Wamai are currently playable on the test server. When these guys eventually get introduced into the Pro League, what kind of a shake-up do you expect?
I think it'll be really interesting. I don't think Amaru will bring too much, personally. I think Goyo will be pretty, not overpowered, but used a lot and banned a lot, especially for certain sites. I'm most excited to see Strider back on the Vector, honestly. Mirror's banned too much, so I can't wait to see Strider back on the Vector, honestly.
Yeah, you're not wrong. I'm sure maybe that's why he was baiting out the question in
Yeah,
chat.
it was.
Ah, come on, mate. All right, so that rounds out that section. Sky, I think you got some community stuff that's been happening you wanted to talk about.
Yeah, absolutely. So over the past weekend, we had the Recon Series LAN hosted at GIC Esports Internet Cafe in the centre of Melbourne. And yeah, it was a really fun event. It was put on by the wonderful Hawk, who is a very prominent community member, ESL admin, does a bit of everything: graphic design, event organizer, producer,
Drone footage extraordinaire.
drone footage extraordinaire. You know, he's probably done it. So massive props to him, and also everyone that volunteered on the day to sort of pull this off. And obviously, massive shout out to the teams. We've actually got a clip of the winning team, Boomers in Pajamas, and I think this is really cool because you don't always get to sort of see teams winning on LAN. And although this is a grassroots community LAN, you can still sort of see how much that means to them. So, Dev, take it away.
Get the plant, get the plant. Someone get to armory and cover. Alex, you have bomb.
Yeah.
Alex, you have bomb. Plant black. Plant black. Black.
Planting black.
It's alright, just hold it. Watch the echo. What EMP if you have it.
I have
EMP if
blue,
you
I
have
have
it.
blue. I have no EMPs.
I've been echoed once.
Yeah, I'm watching.
Stigging.
Got it, I got it.
Nice.
Alright, everyone.
Go.
Clear your cover. Make sure you
I've got
cover.
blue.
Boys, calm. 4v1.
Watching armory hallway. Yeah, I hear armory hallway.
Someone check main.
I'm watching mate.
He's in armory.
I'm on mate.
He got me.
Play time. Play close. Zafir back. Cabbage, you're alright. Just back off. Go to black.
Nice!
Whoa! Whoa!
Yeah,
That's
such
great.
an awesome experience. Yeah, it really was great. And yeah, like you can see how much it means to them, and you can even see the comms there. So for an aspiring player, maybe you can sort of see what goes into these sort of things. And once again, massive shout out to Boomers in Pajamas for winning out the day. And yeah, it was a great day. Thanks to all the volunteers. Thanks to the teams for showing up. It was a great time, and again, it just wouldn't be possible without the involvement of the community. Nevertheless, we are now going to move into our top pick section for today, and we're going to be in that with the XP Esports Women League. So, this is a new league that's being put on by XP Esports, and we have a quote from the HTT News article from Brody Fisher, the director of XP Esports, and he stated, creating an exciting, sustainable women's esports competition for both online and offline events has always been a priority for us. We want to grow and develop the competitive women's scene, as well as nurture new talent of all ages in professional environments. So this is a really awesome addition to ANZ. Some of you guys might have noticed recently over in NA we've had a women's league taking place with
CCS.
the CCSW Women's League, something like that, and that's a really cool event. And yeah, there's so much participation in that. I'm big on for anyone that uses the Strafe app, sort of getting to put in your predictions, and there's always a match taking place within that league, so it's really exciting. And yeah, it's really cool to see how much support there is behind this sort of stuff. So I think this will be a great addition to the ANZ esports scene. So for sure, get behind that, and obviously compete if that's something you're interested in.
Maybe if you know someone who'd be interested in competing, just let them know as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I think getting as many people involved is crucial. Moving on to Dev now, we've got your top pick for this week.
So mine is, once again, Raven, who's a caster, used to coach Oddity. He went on to ABC Radio and actually just talked about esports for about 10 minutes. And I think, obviously, a mainstream media platform like ABC, something so widespread, especially on an old, kind of old media platform like radio that us millennials don't really utilize very much. I think it's a perfect place to kind of educate people on what esports really is, because obviously there is a lot of misconceptions out there. So I'm always for people really clearing up some of these mysteries and helping people understand and kind of relate to what esports is. So yeah, big ups to Raven and to ABC for making that happen. If you want to find this and listen to it, which I highly recommend, just takes about 10 minutes, head over to Raven_cast on Twitter and just scroll down. You should find this tweet that I'm showing right here. But that's all for today. So I want to mention, I want to know, Riley, before we close out, people who want to follow you, people who want to get in touch and keep up to date with your activity, where can they go and follow all of your socials and keep up to date with your content?
The main things that I'm active on is YouTube, Twitch, and Twitter. All Stigs R6 on all of those, and Instagram as well. But yeah, also to stay updated with our team, HomeLess R6S on Twitter. I'd really appreciate that. We are looking for an org going into the Pro League. You know, we're kind of looking for that org support. We're not in any type of rush, but you know, we are accepting offers and looking into them. So yeah, I'd appreciate if you could go check out our Twitter.
Perfect. Well, for anyone who wants to see Stigs' next match, keep an eye out on the Six Invitational qualifiers, Pro League Season 11 in ANZ. HomeLess will be making their debut, and of course the Six Masters 2020 when that comes around. Stigs, mate, it's been a pleasure. Thank you so much for coming on.
Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah,
It's been awesome.
Yeah, it's been a great episode, and I'm glad everyone who's enjoyed it with us. If you're just tuning in now, don't worry, you can rewatch this on our YouTube channel and our Twitch channel, Rainbow6, the number 6 ANZ. We also have an audio version that'll be uploaded to SoundCloud later down the line. So on your favorite podcasting app, iTunes, Spotify, whatever it is, Talking Siege, that's where you'll find us. And we'll be back next week as well to talk about even more good stuff. We should hopefully have a guest. We just can't announce that just yet, who we've got for next week. So keep your eyes out on the Rainbow6 ANZ Twitter for that one. But that's all from us for tonight. We'll see you guys next week.
See you later.